Hi, I'm Roy Ackland, and it's time once again to meet some of Roy's folks. Howdy. Have we got a half-hour show for you? Let's get started. You know, in the past few years, we've been looking for the incredible people we call Roy's folks. I wish I had a penny for everyone I've talked to. Come to think of it, so does the gentleman you're about to meet. A.B. Coletrane's doing something he's done tens of thousands of times before. One at a time, he's gluing pennies to his den wall.
Well, we've got 3,000 more to do before we're finished,
So he's a professional penny putter, to coin a phrase. A.B. started gluing pennies on the wall right here by the door, and it only made good sense to do more.
I think really what started was when I had a bad wreck several years ago, and the physical therapist says you've got to stay busy or you'll be crippled. And after that, I've been busy and kept everybody else busy.
He sure has. He told me when he gets through, he will have glued 72,000 pennies to his wall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And his wife was quick to get her 2 cents worth in.
She wasn't too fond of it, I don't think.
I thought he was crazy.
She still does, I think.
A.B. says all the pennies are pre-1982 because they're pure copper and don't corrode as badly as the new ones. And they all face the same way, except for a couple of surprises. Oh, well, a penny saved is a penny earned.
We got them, but we can't spend them.
Although the process has been taxing, it's been a good way to spend his time.
Are you going to cry when you put that last penny in place?
I'm going to celebrate.
A.B. says all through the project he never lost interest. After all, it added to his property value.
You know, you can look at some of these bottles and you can just kind of imagine the time period. And you wonder, well, who had this bottle years ago? How many hands has it gone through? How did it survive? Because just endless thousands were destroyed.
Some interesting thoughts from James Ayers, collector. He collects a lot of things, but Pepsi bottles are his obsession.
Coca-Cola standardized their bottles in 1915. Pepsi didn't standardize theirs till 1930.
Which means there had to be more different kinds of bottles than there were bottlers.
This bottle, although it's not dated, appears to have been made in the 20s.
He started collecting, and the more he got, the more he wanted. Now he has the most complete collection of Pepsi-Cola bottles in the world. James' knowledge of the subject is just so expansive, and his collection so complete that it's no wonder that he wrote a book on the subject. As a matter of fact, he wrote the book on the subject.
This one, it's called a back bar bottle. These are very rare. I've never seen over about 3 of these.
Everywhere you look, history in a bottle. Bottles from all over the world, and bottles from New Bern, North Carolina, where Pepsi was invented. Funny, isn't it, how we sometimes measure our lives by remembering something as simple as a soft drink? For example, at James High School graduation, the speaker referred to the graduates as the Pepsi generation. Apparently, that stuck in James's mind.
Neat.
And perhaps it was the reason he took up the Pepsi Challenge and eventually became the world's foremost authority on Pepsi-Cola bottles. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Perhaps you've seen this before. A group of golfers standing around critiquing the style of a young up-and-coming player.
I wish I had the swing he's got. 90-some% of the people tee off, he hasn't got as good a swing as he has.
I like to have his putt and swing.
I don't know how to tell you this, but the player they're talking about is 2 years old.
He's a fanatic at golf.
Really?
He watches TV, he watches golf on TV, plays Jack Nicklaus tapes, and watches it, and by the time he was 2, he was doing things with a golf club that was just amazing. There you go.
His name is Daniel Brantley, and if he hasn't impressed you yet, just watch. As you might expect, he's no power driver, but he is accurate. He very often is on in 14 and then proceeds to 4-putt. Now remember, we're talking about a 2-year-old.
I've been told by many people you will not be able to teach him anything until he's probably 5 to 6 years old. So he's purely on his own. What he's done, he's picked up by himself.
That Daniel is a typical terrible 2, full of energy. He literally runs between strokes, making it difficult for his dad to keep up with him, which is an inspiration for the senior Brantley.
It makes me want to try harder so that he's not beating me by the time he's 5 or 6.
So remember this name, Daniel Brantley. You might want to write it down because at some time in the not-too-distant future, you're going to see a headline that reads, "Young golfer wins the big one," as his father sets the record for saying, "That's my boy," the greatest number of times in one day.
Roy, I'd like to show you my tea room.
When Irv Valenta invites you into his tea room, he doesn't mean a cup of tea, he means a golf tee.
Now, this tea was invented by an American, a dentist.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Golf tees? That little piece of wood that you poke in the ground and put your ball up on top and then blast away with the driver? Well, that's what I thought too at first. But I found out the golf tee has a very rich history. For hundreds and hundreds of years, a golf tee was nothing but a pile of sand. And then later they refined that technique by actually using a mold. Just pack sand in the mold, place it on the ground and push it out, place the ball on the pile of sand and have at it. The tee has evolved ever since. Irv discovered some of the older designs as a kid and decided to try collecting them.
So wherever I would go, whoever I was with, I would ask them if they had any unusual teas, and it's surprising how many people would say, "Yeah, I got a tea in my bag that I haven't used because it was unusual."
Yeah. There have been tea designs ranging from creative to crazy, but in 1921, the first wooden tea like the one that's so popular today was introduced. Irv found this so fascinating, he decided to write a book, including as many different designs as he could.
I haven't used advertising as indicating a different tea.
Yeah, no.
I used only the engineering properties of it.
Now, since 1921, there's been no major improvement in today's style of tea, but if there ever is, you can bet Irv will have one in his tea room.
You can see them so well. Once you find one, you wonder how in the world somebody missed it.
Budge Perry is a hunter. His weapons are a bit unusual, and his quarry, the elusive, quick, evasive golf ball.
All right, that's another one of those goodies right there.
And when on the trail of a Titleist, he's a man possessed. It doesn't matter where the ball is, in the water or in the woods, he'll find it.
Like I've always said, I must have been a heck of an Easter egg hunter because I love to find these golf balls. Had one. Ah, here's another one. There'll be some over. There'll be some in there, I'm sure. That's a good one. Dunlop. I put that in my pocket. Got 4 more.
Budge says the secret's just knowing where to look.
Oh, yeah, you can see them in there now. Oh, yes. I see one over yonder now. There's another one over here. Oh, wait a minute, there's one right there. And I'm sure there's some more balls up in here.
Looking for lost balls is a lot of work, which obviously leads to the question,
Why? Why do I do it?
yeah,
Just because I love it. Richard would say to me, Budge, why don't you go play 9 holes of golf? I put the clubs on the cart, I go to the first hole, I slice one in the wood, and that's it. I go out there and all them balls lying there, I take my clubs back, put them up, give them boots. I found a bunch of them.
and he's serious. This man's got his doctorate in being a ball hawk. So golfers, no matter how you slice it, Budge will find it.
I just got to think about these golf balls. I just love to go out and pick them up.
When Gerald Smith slices a golf ball, he really does, but not with an iron or a wood. He uses a knife, and that's where the difference ends. He's as dedicated to his carving as any golfer to his game.
Every day at lunch I carve, every night I try to carve some. I don't fish, I don't hunt, I don't do anything other normal people do, but I just like to carve.
He carves caricatures of folks, using a sense of humor as sharp as his knife. He's done such celebs as myself, Albert Einstein, and guess who? Sheriff Heggie.
Just trying to capture different expressions and different looks on faces is fun.
Gerald doesn't just do golf balls, he works in wood also. But he says no matter what the medium, carving is therapeutic.
I don't know, it's just real satisfying. I don't have any patience for anything except carving. And people tell me, well, I don't have enough patience for that. I don't really have any patience either, but I do for that.
His sense of humor is what really sets his work apart, turning wrinkles into laugh lines. Who wouldn't smile among all these funny faces? And that old cut-up Gerald looks like he's having a ball. If you think that was something, hang on. We've got more.
Buddy. Hey, girl.
Natalie Irvine and her green iguana pet Buddy are quite a pair. Natalie thinks Buddy's the best.
She's just a really unique pet, and that's why I got her, because I'm into having unique animals.
Buddy's unique, all right, but Natalie told me that these lizards have personality, too.
She's just real, she's real vain. She knows that she's pretty. She knows that she's perfect.
She's definitely a pet that'll grow on you. When Natalie first got her, she was 6 inches long. Now she's 4 feet long and almost 5 pounds, and when she's full grown, she'll be 5 feet long and 15 pounds. Where are you going? Where are you going? And where does a 5-pound lizard go? Anywhere she wants to. Leaping lizards.
I like to compare them almost to a cat because they're very independent and yet at the same time they're very loyal. It's my buddy.
These two really do have a special relationship. Natalie does have other pets, and they all seem to get along just fine. But occasionally, Buddy does get a little jealous.
Anytime I put anything in front of Buddy that looks like an iguana like this or this stuffed animal lizard right here, she attacks it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Buddy shows her aggression by bobbing her head up and down and posturing. Maybe she should have been named Bobby. But bottom line, if you really want a different house pet, this Bud's for you.
I was young then, very young. I hate to see that evening sun go down. I hate to see.
Willa Mae Buckner has been singing the blues ever since she was a little girl.
Because my baby, he has done left this town. Well, you could say it was born in me because that's what it was when we were kids, you know, when I was a kid, you know. My parents had that old gramophone, you know, put it on the porch or in the yard.
Life was tough back then, so Willa, at the tender age of 14, left home to seek her fortune with the carnival, where she sang and danced and played the guitar. She was good, too, and stayed with it for a long time.
I got the St. Louis blues, just as blue as I can be.
In the 1960s, Willa put her singing on hold for a while and started a new act, a snake show. She got the idea when she saw a snake exhibit at the World's Fair.
And before long, I had 28 snakes in a 4-room apartment.
Oh.
I went to Philadelphia, bought me a truck and a tent, and hit the road.
Willa traveled the whole country with her snakes, where she was known as the Princess Ijo, the Black Enchantress, the world's only black gypsy. Although she does admit that she has her brothers to thank for her skill as a snake charmer.
I used to be afraid of them as a kid, and my brothers would chase me. I picked up one day and started chasing them back.
She's done just about everything at one time or another, including driving a Winston-Salem bus. But she's singing the blues again these days, even sang at Carnegie Hall recently, and has done some recording thanks to record producer and friend Tim Duffy.
You know that Mississippi River, so long, deep, and wide. I've got to find my sweet man on the other side. Well, I do hope people will enjoy it, you know, and I think they have so far, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Take me back to
Oh, yeah. This blues singer sings the blues the way it ought to be sung, from her soul.
All right, you ready? Let's go.
Bull riding competitions have become very popular in the Piedmont. Any weekend, you can find several of them, like this one at Stony Creek Arena. There's one difference here, though. Instead of using a traditional clown to keep the cowboys and bulls separated, they use trained dogs.
I bought a couple of them just to work horses and cows with. And then we got started in this bull riding thing. And, you know, I had people out here that was putting them up and clowning and everything, and them dogs just got to watching. And they took it upon themselves. I mean, they just instant trained themselves.
The dogs are Australian shepherds, bred and trained to do exactly what you see them doing here. They're herding dogs. So as soon as the cowboy's off, they keep the bull distracted and put him right back in the pen. What do they do next but go over to the chute and wait for the next cowboy and bull to come out so they can do it all over again? No cow college for these guys. They're just naturally smart.
I knew they was capable of doing it because every time you ever showed them anything, they just snapped right to it. It don't make no difference whether it's bulls or what it is. You can show them how to drive a car and they'll do that.
Yeah. Well, why not? They're bred to drive a herd of cattle, even steers, and bulls, bulldogs. That's what they are, real bulldogs. And in this case, a cowboy's best friend. Just about any Sunday night, you'll find Wendy and Vernon Gilliatt watching one of their favorite shows on TV.
I absolutely love the X-Files.
They're more than just fans, too. They're collectors, like this autographed picture of Scully and Mulder that Wendy's husband gave her.
He sent off for it very early, before the show really got going good, and it was autographed on the back by Jillian and David.
The X-Files is the latest in a series of sci-fi programs they're interested in. You guessed it, they started out with Star Trek, and they collect those collectibles too.
When I was a little kid, it was all the neat little gadgets and technological kind of things. It still is kind of cool.
They've got lots of neat stuff in their collection. There are games and toys and collector cards, even a rare bust of Spock.
There are not very many of those around.
And did I mention the videotapes?
And I have probably every episode of any of the Star Trek genres on tape.
Collecting all this stuff's got to be fun, but there seems to be more to it than that. They're in love with the shows. They seem to get some philosophical satisfaction.
It had a very hopeful vision of the future, and that's something that I like a whole lot.
Love's the operative term here because these two met and fell in love at a Star Trek club meeting. Now that they're married, they love to pursue their sci-fi interests together. And today, that includes watching the X-Files.
For me, it's another one of those, there's something out there, you really don't know what it is, but it's just kind of neat to go out there and look for it.
And you can bet these two will be looking for it on their TV sets tonight. The idea that something is out there may have piqued many an imagination. Well, this next story just might pique yours. Jane Smith loves to work in her garden. She stacks rocks for a border, placing them just so. They're just chunks of local rock. But there is one that stands out.
It's a very unusual rock.
The rocks around the house come from out in the field, just like this one. Every year they try to pull them up and get them out of the way. Well, her husband had tried for 6 years to get this particular rock up. Couldn't do it until one day a thunderstorm popped up, catching her husband out plowing in the field.
And he was in a hurry and probably closer to the rock than he thought he was, and the plow just caught it right, and it just rolled right out.
They really didn't give it much thought, even after they'd taken it and placed it on end in the middle of one of their flower beds. But that's when
somebody asked me, said, "Where'd you get your statue?" And I said, "What statue?" And they were way up there in the driveway. And when I looked back, I saw the image, or whatever you want to call it. I just saw it immediately.
the rock looks to different people like different things. But everybody sees something.
Some people say Mary or a hooded figure, and the most people say Christ.
And Jane says whenever she looks at it, she gets this funny feeling.
I've just pondered, just how to get there, and was it time or God or what?
So perhaps this is another of the mysteries of the universe. Miracle or merely imagination? That's the difference between a statue and a stone. Ooh, that was amazing, wasn't it? It always amazes me, too, how quickly time goes by. Yeah, this is the end of another show, but we'll have more. And in between, I'll get out there and look for more of Roy's folks.